We had so many issues this spring and summer, and it's mainly because of one animal we brought on the farm. Welcome back. This is Nancy from Maplewood Homestead, and we're going to take you along with another story from the homestead. Now, before we get into the meat of the story, I just want to let you know and remind you that homesteading is really a process. There are always things that come up and always situations that we have to overcome. It's all in how you handle it, learning, pivoting, and moving in a different direction. We have definitely learned a lot through this. And here's what happened. Our livestock guardian dog, Thor, who's a Great Pyrenees, has been doing a wonderful job keeping watch over our goats and chickens to make sure predators don't get to them. But David and I felt a little bad. Whenever we would bring the house dogs down to the barnyard to get some exercise and play with him, he'd always look a little sad when we left. Now, Pyrenees are typically known to be okay by themselves as long as they have something to protect, like these goats. So, did we really need to get him a friend? Probably not. But we really love Thor, and we wanted to do this for him. So last November, David came home and said he knew someone who had puppies, who lived on a farm, who was around farm animals, and would be a good match for Thor because she was a bigger sized dog. So we went and picked her up. We bring Sophie home. She and Thor get along just splendidly. I mean, there's that time at the beginning where they got to get used to each other, but things went really smoothly between them, and we were so excited for Thor to have a companion. And a week later, she got a bacterial infection in her intestines and was in the house for about a week on medication. That's how we started our journey with poor Sophie. When we first got Thor, he was about 5 months old. Now, you can't leave a puppy in with chickens because they just see them as running squeaky toys, and that is to be expected. Thor himself, we had to keep him in an area that was confined where he can see the chickens but not be with the chickens till he was about 18 to 20 months old. After that, he could be trusted to have enough self-control and maturity to be let out about the birds without killing them. We knew that Sophie needed to go through a similar process. However, we had read and seen that Pyrenees who had been on a farm for a certain amount of time, when a new dog was brought in, a new guardian dog, that they might actually train them to the ways of the farm. So this was our hope for Thor, that he would teach Sophie the ways of Maplewood Homestead. Yeah, that was our hope.
Stay. Sit. Stay. Come.
So we decided to leave Thor and Sophie alone for a time and see if he would actually train her to leave the chickens and the goats alone and to just watch over them. Remember, she's still but a baby. Well, that did not go according to plan because a few days later we found 2 dead chickens. They were our egg layers, so this was an issue. Okay, now what do? We thought. In order to create an area that kept her separated from the chickens and able to see the chickens, we put her in our back pasture, which is connected to the barnyard area. She could see the chickens, she could see Thor, and she could get trained. Except she just really wanted to be with Thor, which is exactly why we got her. So she dug out and under continuously every time we put her back. So that wasn't going to work. All right, so now we're out of options. The 2 things we were banking on working didn't work. Well, the next thing we tried was moving the chickens to the back pasture. So David and the kids used the truck and moved this ginormous chicken coop we have to the back pasture, along with all the egg layers.
I have a stick.
Dance party. Put the stick away. We're trying to have a dance party. Put it away. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
We were so happy that we had solved the problem. Thor had his friend, the chickens were safe, the goats were happy. And this was great for a few months until spring hit and the goats had their babies. And then we had a parasite overload. Now, typically, March is about the time that if you're going to battle with parasites, at least on our farm, that's when it happens. But this year, I couldn't beat them. It was weeks of me treating them, and I couldn't figure out why they weren't getting any better. Now, if you need to know, we actually treat our goats herbally, and 9 times out of 10, the treatments that I use in them work just fine. I will use chemical dewormers for them if I feel like their life is in danger, meaning it's really at a level that the herbs aren't going to be able to bring it back under control. So just to put that out there. Anyway, these girls were struggling and I was treating them the way I normally treat them and they weren't getting better. So I took a fecal and I sent it in and it came back. They had a parasite I had never even heard of before and it couldn't be treated the way I was treating it. And in this period of 3 weeks, they had lost so much weight and I felt horrible for them. I've been trying so hard and I felt like I had failed them. So it wasn't just about the hookworm, it was just about parasites in general when I really started thinking about it. You see, we got the chickens first and we added goats. So the goats had always had chickens run behind them. And if you know anything about regenerative farming, it's wise to run chickens behind your livestock. It will actually lower the parasite load for the goats. Chicken parasites and goat parasites don't infect each other. So the chickens will eat what the goats leave behind in their droppings and get rid of those other parasites for them. So it lowers the load. When we remove the chickens, we remove the helpers of the pasture. So the treatment for the hookworm meant that I lost out on milk for 2 months. I have a goat milk soap making company. I have a herd share. And just as important is we drink and use that milk. So I was out for 2 months with no milk. My goats looked emaciated and I had to fight to get the weight onto them. This just created one problem after another, and I never would have thought bringing a cute little puppy home would have created such an issue. Sophie is still here, and Sophie will remain here. We're just going to patiently wait until she grows up and into herself. Right now, she's about 13 months old, I believe, and that means she's got at least 6 to 9 months before we can really say, yeah, we can trust you around those chickens. So in the meantime, we'll just continue to learn, continue to love her, continue to train her, and pivot when need be. We appreciate you checking in with us and listening to our stories. We hope you've enjoyed this time. Please give a like and come back soon to see more from Maplewood Homestead. If you'd like to learn more about raising chicks and chickens, I have more